Hi guys, this is going to be a short tutorial on how action potential works. So, in order to understand this concept of action potential, you need to understand 4 basic ions, or any atom with a charge. And in this case, the ions would be potassium, sodium, chloride, which are the 3 main ones, and then you have the negatively charged protein molecules, which is symbolized by A-. Now, the A- here doesn't represent an actual specific protein, but rather the general case for any protein that exists in the intercellular fluid or inside of the neuron. Now, another important concept to understand is that in terms of charges, positive and positive will repel, negative and negative will repel, and positive and negative will attract. And in terms of how this is organized, there are positively charged potassium ions inside, negatively charged protein molecules inside, positively charged sodium molecules outside, and negatively charged chloride molecules inside. And when I mean molecules in this case, I mean the ions themselves. So how does this whole process of action potential begin? Well, it begins at a baseline voltage. And this baseline voltage, was what we call it, is about minus 70 millivolts. Now this is a very important number because this is how it all starts off of. And it starts at this negative voltage because of a balance, or rather an imbalance, between the potassium and the protein molecules because of something called the leaky channels. Now the leaky channels are channels in the membrane that constantly pump out positively charged potassium at a slow but constant rate, and they're always open. They never close. So you always have slight positive charges exiting the neuron at a constant rate. And because of this, the inside is slightly more negative, and you get this baseline temperature. Voltage. And this voltage fluctuates slightly, ever so slightly, back and forth until you get to what we call a threshold voltage of about minus 50. And when it hits this very important threshold voltage, the neuron realizes, oh, I can proceed towards action potential now. I can go through this very important process. And how does this whole process begin? It begins by when this threshold voltage is hit. Sodium ion channels open up inside the membrane. So these mechanisms here open up, and they allow the flow of positively charged sodium ions into the membrane. But then you have to realize there's positively charged sodium ions in the membrane and positively charged potassium. Now that is not going to work. You can't have two positive charges together. They're going to obviously repel. So the positively charged potassium is going to proceed to move out of the cell at a faster rate than before. But the leaky channel can only process a certain rate. So another channel opens up, another membrane channel opens up, called the voltage gated channel, which opens up when a specific voltage is achieved, that also pumps out even more positively charged potassium. So this continues to occur until a voltage of about positive 30 is achieved. And when this voltage is achieved, these sodium channels that are allowing sodium to go in close. So all the sodium that used to be entering is not allowed to enter anymore. But these two channels, they stay open. They keep pumping out the potassium out, which means now there's going to be a very, very steep decline in the charge inside the membrane. As you can see here in this graph, the overall charge decreases at a very quick rate because of the potassium leaving and the negative charge staying inside the cell to about minus 100 millivolts. Now you might be thinking, wait, minus 100? That's quite below the baseline in which we need to fire another one. So how does it get back up to this baseline? And that's through these mechanisms called the sodium-potassium pumps. They also exist in the membrane, and what they do is they pump out 3 sodium from inside the membrane and they pump back in 2 potassium. And this exchange of ions will slowly return this voltage back to its baseline of minus 70, where another action potential can occur. And this, you have to note, also happens at a very, very quick rate. So even though we're mapping this out in a slow process, this happens in milliseconds. You can't even comprehend how quickly this happens. So this is a very complex process, but I hope this is a simplistic but helpful breakdown of how it works. Thank you for watching.